What's up, everybody? Today we're going to talk through REI Sift, what it is, how I use it, and why I think it is something you should start using whenever you start doing any marketing on the wholesaling, flipping, off-market deal in general front, right? Uh, and I'll just illustrate it this way. If you're going to make $10,000 on a deal, would you rather spend $1,000 to do that or $2,000 to do that? No brainer. You'd rather spend $1,000 to make 10 grand than 2,000 to spend 10 grand. Yet, people have this kind of archaic approach to real estate marketing where you're just like blanket mass. These are the lists I pull, and you're not stacking all the data together to hyper focus on the most likely people to sell your house and to remove the people who are most likely not going to sell their house, right? So you're marketing to people that you shouldn't be, and then you're marketing to way too broad of an audience. So REI Sift steps in and helps that, and I'll tell you that it paid for itself in the first or second mailing that I did, and it has just saved me money from then on. And I'll show you how in just a second. So we're gonna log in real quick. All right, so one of the things that I like about this is that REI Sift pulls from the USPS, the post office data for vacant properties. And so, like right here, it shows 1,518 vacant records, 2%, 19 new this month. I've got 95,103 records in the platform. 13% of them have been skip traced and have phone numbers. And so that's just kind of the basic, right? And then you can upload. And so what you do is you go in here, you hit upload file, update data, or add data. We're going to upload a new list, select, we'll say we got it from PropStream. When did we get it? Blah, blah, blah. New. Or next step. You would create the tag, and then I'm not going to do the rest just because I don't want it to save. But when you click next, you would upload the file, and then it allows you to, and then make sure that you have annotated each block to their respective place, and then you hit go, and it uploads it all. And then you'll see you get all these different lists, right? So what you're going to do is when you pull your different lists for mailing, so instead of just saying, hey, I want absentee out of state with this much equity, you're going to pull like absentee out of state. Then you're going to pull absentee in state. Then you're going to pull code violations. Then you're going to pull your dead leads from your CRM, which I recommend REIsift, and I've got a video about that obviously as well. And then death certificates. And then, hey, we drove by this house and it looks like it's worth targeting, so driving for dollars. And you're going to pull all these different lists. You upload them each individually and you tag it that way. And then when you compile, it stacks it together, and it'll tell you how many lists a property pops up on. And so I'll show you that here in a minute. And so you've got all these different tags. And then status, you can mark them as do not call, whatever. The other lists that you want to upload to this, obviously your do not calls, not interested, and your return to senders. So anytime you send out mails, you'll get all the return to senders back. Upload them into PropStream, which also watch that video, and then take it from PropStream, export all the return to senders, upload it here. This is what saves you the most money, because when you go to market to that next list, you say, I want all these things minus do not calls, not interested, return to senders, dead leads, and it'll scrub out a ton. And I'll show you that here in just a second. Right? So then you got your activity, tasks, sequences. You can set up sequences. I don't have any right now. I didn't use REI Sift to its full capacity. I used it more for the list stacking. It's actually really, really cool. Tyler Austin, the founder, has done a really good job with this. And you get your settings and all your normal stuff. You got your dashboard, which you started at. So here's the records. This is the meat and potatoes, right? This is the good stuff. So the first thing is that it automatically stacks. So this one right here, it shows you how many lists it shows up on. So this lead right here, they live in Vancouver, Washington. They own 1117 West Division, which I've tried to get a hold of them pretty much every way, right? So when you open it up, it'll show you email list associated, phone number if you skip traced it, which obviously I did. You got the property, you click on the property, it'll show you, where it is, right? And so it's this corner thing right here that I've tried. I mean, well, you can see. So, I haven't been updating this like I should. Well, so I've definitely mailed them twice. I cold called them once. I've done a text blast. I've probably mailed them 3 times. We'll just say that. So I've been trying to get a hold of this one for a while. But you can see the reason, and you can see that I mailed them because they were returned to sender. So they have a code violation. They're on the absentee single family mailing. Driving for dollars. I drove by the property. Dangerous properties because of the code violation. They were an expired listing, so they tried to sell this house and couldn't. And then the base data just means they have at least 30% equity, right? I pulled every house. That's the first thing you should do is pull base data, so every house in your area, and then with 30% equity or more, so they have the ability to sell to you, pull them all and upload all of those. So, all right, so that's kind of how it stacks. So here's another one, right? So we got another one here. They live in Ozark. This property's in Springfield. Phone numbers. There's the property. Kind of the same area of town, so this is where that other one was. So, and code violation, return to sender. So I did mail them at least once. Absentee, and they have a lien. So Springfield lien. So there's a lien from the city against their property. For what? Who knows? But it's there. All right. So these are people when they're stacked like this. Here's another one with 6. We'll just go to this one. They own 2, and so this one's in Buffalo Mo, and this one's, let's see, it says closed. So they had a code violation, out of state with equity, and an expired listing, right? So these are usually properties that they have a reason to sell. They've got a bunch of things that are, frustrating. So there's the, so we've got clean, incomplete, meaning like they haven't got the name and stuff. It's like LLCs usually. And then you got all the data. So if you pull all the data, you got 95,103. And there's a bunch of different ways you can filter here. So you can go in and you can view the presets, and you can do like, hey, here's the base. So you could do the stacked, vacant, ouchies, equity. Those are their base ones. You can build your own presets for specific types of marketing that you want to do, which I recommend for sure. Like I said, I haven't used this to its full capacity because I'm so deep into REISimply and PropStream, and quite frankly, this is almost too complex. Not complex, it's actually really simple, but it's almost too much for me. Like my marketing brain doesn't quite grasp how to utilize all this stuff to the full potential, right? So what you can do is you can go to tags. You can say, hey, I don't want to include, so that was 95,000, right? So if we do the DNC, not interested, dead leads, RTS, right? Apply filters. And you can see we went from 95 to 91. So there are 4,000 people on this list that have either dead lead, not interested, do not call list, or I mailed them and the mail letter came back. So that's 4,000 people that I'm not going to spend money marketing to, right? So that's, like, I don't know, 4.5% maybe. So, okay. So if you save, 4.5%, let's say you spend $1,000 a month on marketing, that's $45 a month saved, which pretty much pays for, I don't remember exactly how much this costs. Let's see. $950 for the year, right? So $79 a month. So if you do that, it'll almost pay for itself immediately off that. But what it's also going to do, the other way that it's going to save you money, is that when you go in here to, like, let's do one of their presets. You go to stacked, and okay. So now we've stacked them, and we've said we want only things that have at least 2 pings, right? So they're on at least 2 lists, and you go to clean. Okay, so now there's 10,189, which is probably, like, those would probably be decent ones to market to, right? But if you go back in and you do the exact same thing, oh, and this one, we want, let's see if that changes. Yeah, so 10,500. So there were 350 that were vacant that it had filtered out. So definitely check that. All right, so do not include DNC, RTS. There we go. Tags. There, now we're all right. Cooking with grease. So we want DNC off, RTS off, dead leads off, and not interested off. Right? So we apply. So that's 10,500. Now we're down to 9,275. Right? So in this scenario, that's more than 10%. So there you go. That could easily save you $1,000 if you were going to mail all 10 of these, especially if your cost was only $1 a lead or $1 a touch. In most cases, it's more than that, right? For mailers, it can be anywhere from 50 cents to $2 a letter. Cold calling, you've got costs associated with that, text blasting, all of the things. So this is just a way to save you money, but also, probably more importantly than the saving of the money, it provides you an opportunity to specifically target people who are more likely to sell their house. So instead of just broadly spending $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 worth of marketing this year, maybe monthly, whatever, you'll be able to spend that same amount of money to repetitively target people who are much more likely to sell, right? So they've got issues, they've got things that are coming up, they've got the equity, they've got code violations, the city's after them, a tenant just got evicted, they've got liens on the property, all these things. And this list, it's great. And I'll tell you, there have been a few properties that have popped up on here where I've just personally picked up the phone and called immediately while handwriting a letter, because it's like, oh my God, this person's absolutely going to sell. And some of these conversations, sometimes you don't always want people to know, right? So that all these things. So prime example, this one, 98 death certificates that we pulled, right? So that's 98 people who passed away that owned a house that we pulled every month and said death certificates from the county, cross-referenced with people who own real estate in the town, pick up the phone and call them, send them a letter, whatever. This is one of those lists that you definitely get some less than desirable feedback on because, well, they're grieving, right? So they don't really want to talk about that. But you don't come at it and say, hey, I noticed that so-and-so died. Do you want to sell their house? You come at it and you just send them a normal marketing letter, and then you let them bring all that stuff up. And the reality is, you are doing these people, this is probably one of the ones, this in foreclosures or pre-foreclosures, right, or default, whatever, is probably one of the ones that you're most likely to help them, and you're going to help them the most, right? Because, if you've ever done probate stuff, it is a very lengthy, complicated, painful process that just doesn't need to be that way. So in a lot of situations, if you call and say, hey, before this goes into probate, and obviously this all has to come out naturally. You can't just know this and call them and say, hey, before it goes into probate. But hey, before this goes into probate, I'd love the opportunity to buy it off you so that you don't have to deal with all the legal fees and waiting 6 months to a year and all the other craziness. In fact, it doesn't even stop then. We've got a property that we got under contract in March. The wholesale should have closed 2 months and a week ago. And the guy went through probate 10 years ago. Something didn't get filed right. His attorney is working on it and trying to find it and all these other things. And he doesn't have clear title. He cannot sell the house to us until he gets all that documentation closed. So he did the whole process a decade ago. And now it's been 90 days since we went under contract for a 2-week close. And we haven't been able to sell or to buy the property. We're ready, willing, and able, but he hasn't been able to provide clear title. And so it just hasn't worked out for us. And so... yeah, so long story short, REI Sift, phenomenal website, definitely a game changer for anybody who's doing consistent marketing. It will save you money. It will help you target more motivated leads. I definitely recommend you poke in and learn the Sift Dojo. Does it show you right here or do I need to dig? Yeah, so all kinds of different stuff here. And go and sales and marketing ninja tips. Go read Tyler's stuff on how to utilize REI Sift to be the most successful. This platform will absolutely save you a fortune, but also make you a fortune if used properly. So, as always, I'll post the link down below so you can go check it out. Yeah, it's a affiliate link because here we'll give you the full disclosure if you go to rewards. because, hey, you make a little bit of money. So $347 for recommending the platform that I love and use. So it pays for itself essentially for me at this point. And I think that's awesome. And you can do the exact same thing. And more importantly than all that, if you use the link, it gives you a discount and a free trial. So it's a win-win, right? A lot of companies do this just because it's cheaper to have somebody like me recommend a product that you go and use than it is to pay for ads and all this crazy marketing, because word of mouth's good stuff. So yeah, so there you go. That's all that. REI Sift is phenomenal. It'll save you a fortune. It'll make you a fortune. It's super simple to use, and it's the best list stacking software that I've ever utilized. So definitely recommend that you check it out. And if you got any questions, if I missed anything on this or you're confused about anything, just comment down below and I'll answer them or film an update video for you.